Bring in our Wednesday political panel, and I'm joined here at Parliament House by National Senator Bridget McKenzie and Labor Senator and Shadow Minister for Finance, Katy Gallagher. Thanks for joining me. Bridget McKenzie, branch stacking isn't unique to either party or any of the parties, really. Given that this has come to light, though...
I challenge that.
No branch stacking in the Nationals ever?
No oldie bags, no massive amounts of money being siphoned off for memberships, etc. I think we were all shocked and appalled by what we saw on 60 Minutes, and Daniel Andrews, the Premier, has to come clean about what he knew. This is, as Steve Bracks has made clear, the culture of the Labor Party in Victoria. It has not just arisen overnight. We've seen different divisions of the Labor Party undertake similar reviews year on year over a long period of time. For me, this just speaks to how Labor does politics. I think it's incredibly disappointing, as Katy has said, for her members, the bona fide members of the Labor Party who want to participate in the party's platform decisions and pre-selections, to know that they're being scammed, if you like, by MPs and power brokers and warlords.
All right, well, Katy Gallagher, I need to give you a right of reply here. Is this how Labor does politics?
Absolutely not. I'm not going to defend what I saw on Sunday night. No one can.
Bridget McKenzie, this is from your home state of Victoria.
To come clean.
But I suppose, to be fair to the Premier, is there anything more he could have done when the allegations came to light? He sacked the minister in question. Adam Somyurek has now quit the Labor Party. He's brought in police. He's brought in the Anti-Corruption Commission. What more could a leader have done in this case?
I find it incredible that Daniel Andrews has been leader of this party, and as somebody said earlier this week, the culture is set by the leadership group of a party. So if we're saying this is as widespread as it seems to be within the Victorian division of the Labor Party, then the leader of that party would have had to have known that this was a practice that was being undertaken. I find it incredible that he didn't.
Well, Dan Andrews denies that. He obviously knows the minister who was in his ministry, but they're from different factions. They're not necessarily known to be friends. I mean, it's obviously a big part. I'm not defending it in any way, shape or form, but obviously these things at a local branch level have happened in other states, in other parties.
They have, and for me it just reeks of this generation of Labor MPs' version of the faceless men. I mean, this is not a new thing for the Labor Party. For members, for bona fide members, to be trumped, if you like, to be overridden by factional warlords. We see it in every division over the past decades.
Okay, Katy Gallagher, Steve Bracks spoke about the culture inside the Victorian Party, but in terms of the rules, what are the rules over memberships that can change to try and stamp out this kind of behaviour of branch stacking?
In the ACT branch, for example, before you're able to vote in certain ballots, you have to have been a member for 12 months. There's rules about how you pay for your membership.
Given that we know that this happens in other parties as well, how do you think politicians can actually regain the trust of voters, tell voters that this is not politics as usual?
Well, I think it's a really important issue you raised, Jane. I mean, the disillusionment with politicians and Parliament as an institution is on the rise, and I think that's incredibly disappointing given how hard I know the MPs, senators, staff work to actually deliver policy outcomes when they're in government, and how hard they work when they're in opposition to hold government to account. I'm a member of the National Party. We've had the rules that Katy speaks about in our division for a very long time. We're one of the most democratic parties in the Australian political system. We've been around for 100 years. You pay your membership, and to all your viewers, contact my office, happy to hand out a form, and you can participate wholly and fully as an individual in your branch, policy motions, state and federal councils, and obviously pre-selections. But we do have a time frame also in our constitution around when members can fully participate, so that we can actually be assured that they are bona fide members who subscribe to our party's platform.
Okay, well, moving away from the troubles in the Victorian Labor Party, and the Commonwealth is still deciding whether to appeal the federal court's ruling that the Gillard government's 2011 live cattle ban was invalid. I'm just sticking with you, Bridget McKenzie, because in the Senate last night you supported a motion basically calling on your government to allow the ruling to stand, to not appeal that ruling. Why, given that Attorney General Christian Porter has said that he needs to weigh up all the factors here?
Well, the government's made a decision to seek some legal advice around Justice Rary's decision. But the fact remains, I was in the Parliament when the Gillard Labor government overnight shut a $1 billion trade employing tens of thousands of Australians, stopped the protein heading to one of our key trading partners, being Indonesia, overnight. It was a reckless decision then, and as Tony Abbott said at the time, it was the worst decision a government ever made. Justice Rary's actually backs that up. It's his decision is really a vindication of what we've been saying the whole way along. It's been 9 long years since these cattle producers had this happen to them. It wasn't just an economic impost, not just for the northern cattle industry, but for the supply chain. It had implications in the southern cattle industry as well. People lost their businesses, so it had huge social impacts as well. It was a reckless decision, and we've been saying that all along. And I think the National Party Senate team speak quite strong on this.
Okay, but the Attorney General, Christian Porter, who's part of your government, has said that he needs to consider legal precedents here, whether a federal court should be able to overturn decisions by ministers of the Crown, decisions of the Commonwealth. Can you not see here that there is potentially a legal argument that you'd be giving up here if you choose not to appeal?
Well, Jane, my job as leader of the National Party in the Senate is to stand up for rural and regional Australians and to be consistent with our policy position.
Why didn't you do that when you were Agriculture Minister?
Every single one of our senators represents these communities. The National Farmers Federation has made it very clear that they do not want to see this appealed. They want to see this put to bed once and for all. The Northern Territory Cattlemen's Association's also been very clear. These are the people we represent in the Senate, and we're very proud to be able to stand with them on this issue.
You were Agriculture Minister though, Senator Mackenzie. Why didn't you settle this long ago, back when you had the power to?
Well, that was discussions that were being had in 2014. We were already well into a court case when I had the opportunity and the privilege of being Australia's Agriculture Minister.
Did you want it to be settled out of court when you were Agriculture Minister? Was that an option that you were weighing up?
Well, I think that there's been a lot of discussions right along, advice given to a variety of governments and a variety of agriculture ministers on how to handle this particular issue. The government made a decision to pursue this case through the courts, and that's been handled by the Attorney General's Department. Can I just say, that was a decision made overnight in response to an email activist campaign. That was a decision made in Cabinet, no papers, responding to, an activist campaign, not a decision that was taken assessing all the information and making a sound decision. It had an impact on us in the regions. It has an issue, it impacts on our communities out in regional Australia.
Yep.
And it destroyed, as you'll remember, our trading relationship with Indonesia. It was horrific how we had to rebuild that over many years. Now, July the 5th, we're going to be seeing the Indonesian Economic Partnership start, which is going to be great, but that's actually testament to our government's commitment to back agriculture and trade and to rebuild what the Gillard government wreaked on our regional community.
Katie Gallagher and Bridget Mackenzie, thank you very much for joining me on Capitol Hill today, but question time is approaching, so I better let you both go and take your seats in the chamber.
I'll see you in there, Bridget.
Thank you.
See you in there, Katie.
Well, the ABC's here, everyone's
Authorised by Bridget Mackenzie, National Party of Australia, Wodonga.